Chapter 1531. Benjamin, do you still believe what Kingsley said? Sean asked Benjamin, having overheard their conversation. Let Jack go and check. There's no doubt it will be accurate. Benjamin glanced at Sean indifferently. Or would you prefer to go? Sean quickly stepped back, refusing hastily, I don't like the desert. Darius, who had been listening without understanding, asked, what did Kingsley say? He claimed to have seen a ghost. Sean laughed, explaining to Darius. Kingsley is always superstitious. He probably got confused in his sleep and dreamt something, thinking he saw something and scared himself. Darius chuckled. He's already so old. Why is he still so timid? Even our little ones at home are braver than him. Darius wore a proud expression. My sweethearts have never been afraid of that. Sean chuckled, also thinking that Kingsley lacked the courage of the little ones. After helping Jessie with her homework, Orissa overheard their conversation and asked curiously, who are you calling a coward? Orissa, we're talking about Kingsley. Sean informed her. Orissa raised an eyebrow, looking at Benjamin. Aren't you going to let him come back? Once he completes the task, he'll be allowed to return, Benjamin said, his gaze fixed on her. He asked, are you free now? Orissa paused for a moment, nodded, and with a smile, she asked, yes. What's up? Benjamin checked the time on his wrist. It's time for you to go to bed. Go freshen up. Feeling a bit embarrassed with everyone's attention on her, Orissa said, it's still a bit early. Let's wait until the children finish their calligraphy practice before we head up. Benjamin glanced at her, then swept his gaze over the 6 little ones. He didn't say anything, which was taken as his silent approval. Mommy, look at how we've been practicing. Jasper said earnestly, holding the pen tightly and carefully crafting each stroke. Good. Orissa leaned over, observing the calligraphy the children had been practicing. Gavin was focused, exuding the air of a gentleman. Even his handwriting bore an elegant and scholarly touch. Zachary, on the other hand, was carefree and exuded an aura of dominance. Timothy wrote meticulously, following the characters above. His pace was rather slow. The strokes of Oliver's calligraphy were meticulous and precise, exhibiting unparalleled rigor. Even when Jasper practiced according to the strokes, his style still came out rough and bold. Everything is wonderfully written. It's just that, Jasper, you lack patience. Are you not practicing based on the examples given? Orissa looked steadily at Jasper, who was not meticulous or serious enough in his work. That's because the pen tip was too big. Jasper stuck out his tongue slightly, offering a soft rebuttal. You don't seem to have a problem with the size of your head. Orissa poked his head. Ha ha. Oliver burst into laughter. Gavin and Timothy also shared a laugh, subtly glancing at Jasper. Jasper saw the others laughing at him and retorted haughtily, what are you all laughing at? You look just like me. If Mommy says I have a big head, she's talking about you too. Sean chuckled as he watched the little ones. Mommy was calling you stupid. What does that have to do with us? Zachary curled his lips in disdain, throwing a sarcastic remark at Jasper. Jasper grunted and turned his head away. Write more diligently, make it more appealing, and show a bit more patience. Orissa tapped his little head lightly. Jasper glanced at her, met her gaze, and responded timidly, understood. Keep going. Orissa stared at him. Jasper sighed, resigned to continue practicing his calligraphy. This time, he wrote with much more focus and care. Wouldn't it be better to write it this way? You were simply impatient before. Practicing calligraphy requires patience. With time and consistent effort, your handwriting will naturally improve. Despite praising him, Orissa couldn't help but nag at him afterward. Chapter 1532. After completing their writing practice, the children played for a while before going upstairs to bathe. Benjamin, pushing Orissa, also followed them upstairs to freshen up. Hey, go to the children. Orissa saw Benjamin pushing her back to the bedroom and quickly rushed to stop him. Benjamin lowered his gaze to look at her, soothingly coaxing. You should freshen up and rest now. Don't worry about the children anymore. Orissa looked up at him, pouting her lips. It's still early. I want to go take a look. Benjamin looked at her steadily, unable to resist Arissa's coquettish pleading. All right, we'll go. We can take a bath later. With a light sigh, Benjamin changed direction, guiding her toward the children's bedroom. The 6 children had already prepared their pajamas. Seeing their parents enter, they all said, "Mommy, we're going to take a bath now. Be mindful of the water temperature," Arissa said with a smile as she watched them. If it weren't for Benjamin preventing her from walking, she would have gone over to check the water temperature for the children herself. She turned her head and instructed Benjamin, "You go and make sure the water is right for them." Benjamin gently tousled her hair, then turned and headed toward the bathroom to test the water temperature for the children. "Do you kids want to take a bath or a shower?" Benjamin asked for their opinion. Gavin and Zachary answered, "Bath." Oliver and Jasper said, "Shower." The kids had differing opinions, causing Benjamin to raise an eyebrow as he turned his gaze toward Timothy. "Tim, take a shower." Jasper tried to influence Timothy. Timothy found himself in a bit of a predicament. No matter which one he chose, he would end up letting down his other 2 brothers. HMPH, Jesse huffed at Jasper, pulling Timothy closer. "Can't we shower and bathe at the same time? Why do we have to choose?" Timothy chuckled lightly, then asked his sister in a soft voice, "Jessie, are you going to take a bath or a shower?" "I want to take a bath," Jessie said with a gleeful smile. She loved to tease Jasper, even sticking her tongue out at him. With a light chuckle, Benjamin bent down to turn on the faucet, filling the tub for their bath. Those who enjoy soaking in the bath can do so, and those who don't can simply take a shower, he said. He had already adjusted the water temperature before he turned around to leave, saying, "Hurry up and take a shower." Timothy also chose to soak in the bath. Oliver and Jasper had their showers, and then they, too, joined the others for a soak in the bath. Arissa had tidied up the children's toys. She had heard the chattering inside and asked Benjamin when she saw him come out, what were they arguing about? They were arguing about whether to take a shower or a bath. Benjamin curled his lips into a smirk, pushing her out the door. Arissa glanced back at the man and asked with a smile, "So, did they reach a consensus?" "I don't care about them. How they chose to wash was their business." Benjamin bent down, leaning in to whisper in her ear, "Would you prefer a shower or a bath?" Arissa chuckled lightly, "Either one is fine." Benjamin raised an eyebrow, planted a kiss on her face, and said, "You'll take a bath, then." "I'll take a shower." That would work perfectly because not a moment would be wasted. Arissa glanced at the man, her heart racing. "Are you sure you want to bathe with me at the same time?" "Yes. I want to prevent you from losing track of time while bathing alone." Benjamin pushed her into the bedroom, heading straight for the bathroom. "Wait a moment. I'll run the bath first." "Right." Arissa nodded, watching the man who had started to run the water. "You're taking a shower so early. Have you finished all your work?" "There will be a brief meeting." Benjamin stood up straight, unbuttoning his cuffs. The two bathed together. After a brief rinse, Benjamin joined her in soaking in the bath. Watching the man step into the bath, a blush gradually spread across Arissa's cheeks. "Weren't you going to take a shower? Let me scrub your back for you." Benjamin picked up the bath sponge, turned her around, and attentively began to wash her back. The water temperature seemed to grow increasingly warmer. Arissa's petite face was flushed from the heat, her heartbeat throbbing in sync with the man's approach. Chapter 1533. Half an hour later, both of them finished bathing and came out of the bathroom. Benjamin carried Arissa to the bed. "Let me dry your hair for you." Benjamin noticed the dampness at the tips of her hair and went to get the hairdryer. Arissa touched her hair and found it slightly damp. She sat on the edge of the bed, waiting for Benjamin. Benjamin quickly plugged in the hairdryer and adjusted the settings. He tested the temperature and started blow-drying her hair when it was suitable. "Have the children finished bathing?" Arissa asked. "Hold on, I'll go check," Benjamin said, running his fingers through her hair. "This woman always worries about everything." Benjamin dried her hair swiftly, put away the hairdryer, and said, "You should rest now. I'll read for a while. I can't sleep this early." Arissa laughed, reclining on the bed, and picked up a book from the bedside table. Benjamin glanced at her, then turned and left. He passed by the children's room. The 6 little ones had already washed up and were no longer there. Benjamin walked to the top of the stairs and glanced down. The 6 little ones were downstairs, keeping Darius company. He returned to the bedroom and told Orissa, "The children have finished bathing and are now downstairs playing with Dad." "Oh," Orissa responded, continuing to read her book. After observing her for a moment, Benjamin went downstairs to attend a meeting. On his way, he met Sean going up the stairs. "Benjamin, are you still busy?" Sean asked. "I'm going to a meeting." Benjamin glanced at him. "If you're free, spend some time with Kingsley to understand more about the situation over there." Sean paused for a moment. "Do you really think something is wrong over there?" Benjamin patted Sean's shoulder and advised him, "Tell Kingsley to be cautious." Sean furrowed his brows. It seemed that the situation was indeed troublesome. He quickly returned to his room and called Kingsley to understand the specific circumstances on his end. Benjamin had only been busy in the study for half an hour before he finished. When he came out, he saw that the children were still with a few elders, so he reminded them, "Dad, Grandaunt, please make sure to rest early. Don't stay up too late. Gavin and the others also need to rest early. We'll go rest soon." Darius responded, waving his hand to signal the little ones to hurry up and rest. The 6 little ones were very cooperative. They bid good night to Darius, Mary, and Edwin before scampering upstairs. "Good night, Mr. Graham." As they passed by Benjamin, the little ones greeted him and then hurried toward the master bedroom. "Good night, Mommy." With a shout, they ran back to their own bedrooms. Orissa barely lifted her head to respond when the little ones were already out of sight. She shook her head with a smile and murmured, "They ran off so quickly. Why didn't they give me a good-night kiss? How about a good-night kiss from me?" Benjamin entered just in time to hear her muttering. He sat down beside her on the bed. With a swift movement, he drew her into his embrace. Orissa's face turned red as she clutched the collar of his pajamas. "Your good-night kiss isn't the same as the kids', okay?" Benjamin held her chin, lifting it up. He leaned in and passionately kissed her. After a while, he finally let her go. His eyes were filled with joy as he closely watched Orissa, who was breathing heavily. His heart was filled with tenderness. "Do you want more?" The man's deep voice, in the middle of the night, was particularly captivating. Blushing with embarrassment, Orissa glared at him and poked him with her finger. "No." She shifted into a more comfortable position in his arms and continued flipping through the book. Whether she was truly reading or not, she knew, and so did he. Benjamin held her, resting his chin on her shoulder, and his hands covering hers as they held the book. "Honey, I have something to tell you." Chapter 1534. Orissa's heart skipped a beat when Benjamin unexpectedly called out to her, leaving her genuinely surprised. Benjamin kissed her on the forehead, cleared his throat, and began discussing serious matters with her. "What are your feelings towards Regan now? Do you still plan to deal with him?" he asked. Orissa froze, slightly taken aback by his question. She turned to look at him. "Why are you bringing this up all of a sudden?" She had previously expressed her hatred towards Regan. If it weren't for certain circumstances that held her back upon returning to the country, she would have dealt with the York family a long time ago and put an end to their antics. She could never forget how they relentlessly pursued and tried to eliminate her when she was at her lowest point. If it weren't for her determination to survive, she wouldn't have made it. Remembering the hardships she faced during those days, a strong sense of hatred welled up in Orissa's eyes. "Just as they treated me in the past, I will make them feel despair, with no one to turn to for help," she declared. Seeing the resentment in her eyes, Benjamin felt somewhat relieved. He knew that whatever he was about to tell her, it wouldn't hurt her anymore. "Would it make you happier if he wasn't your biological father?" he asked. Orissa was taken aback, and it took her a while to comprehend what he had said. "I would rather he wasn't. Even a vicious tiger does not harm its own cubs. Even if he didn't like me, there was no need for him to plot against me and disregard my life completely. Where can one find a father who plots against his own children for wealth, even to the point of causing harm to their lives?" Even if he wasn't directly involved, he was still aware of it. I have doubted countless times whether Lamb, their biological child, that thought somehow comforted me. Unfortunately, there was a time when I experienced the love of a father and a mother. If I wasn't a child of the York family, considering Finley's temperament, how could she have possibly tolerated me growing up in the York residence? However, why did Benjamin suddenly say that? Orissa looked at Benjamin in shock and asked, "Why would you say that? Have you found out something?" Benjamin gazed at her steadily, his affection evident as he gently stroked her head. Looking her straight in the eye, he said, "Regan is not your biological father." Orissa was utterly shocked, her eyes wide as she stared at Benjamin. "Is he serious or just joking?" Benjamin handed her a document. It was a DNA authentication report. I had someone collect a DNA sample from Regan and had Ethan secretly monitor the entire authentication process. If you don't believe me, I can have Sean retest it. Orissa looked at the authentication report, her gaze finally landing on the result. She was utterly baffled. Regan isn't my biological father, and TM not his daughter. I have thought about it, but this is too sudden. I can't wrap my mind around it just yet. Benjamin had been staring at her intently. Seeing her stunned, he gently touched her head and softly asked, "Are you having trouble accepting it?" Orissa blinked, coming back to her senses. She shook her head, mocking herself, "No wonder they all dislike me, treating me as if I were their enemy." After finding out that she wasn't Regan's biological daughter, Orissa felt that everything made sense. However, Grandpa loved me so much. He treated me like his own granddaughter. Even after his passing, he left everything to me. I also bear a striking resemblance to Grandpa. Therefore, even when I had doubts in the past, I never considered them to be true. If I'm not Regan's biological daughter, does that mean Beatrice cheated on him and gave birth to me? Then why did the York family keep me? Orissa was somewhat puzzled by this. Could it be that I'm not Beatrice's biological child? After all, that must be it, right? Otherwise, Finley would have asked Beatrice to take me away a long time ago. Benjamin had also considered that and said to her, "If you want to know, I'll have someone fetch her DNA sample so that we can perform an authentication test." Orissa looked at him, pondered for a moment, and nodded. All right. Once, she had also hoped not to be Regan's child, and now it had become a reality. If she wasn't Beatrice's biological daughter either, it wouldn't be unbearable. If she had no blood ties with them at all, then she wouldn't have to endure their use of kinship as a weapon. How are you going to get her DNA sample? She looked at Benjamin. Chapter 1535. There's no need to worry about this. If they can't handle a simple sample, they don't need to follow me. Benjamin said confidently, his aura commanding and undaunted. He had no concerns about that matter at all. Orissa glanced at him, turned around, and embraced him. Working with you is really challenging. Benjamin looked down at her, surprised by her composure. He lifted her chin. Are you suggesting that I provided them with an opportunity to grow, or are you complaining about how difficult it is to work with me, Miss York, the technical director? Orissa gave a sheepish smile. Not at all. Working with Mr. Graham is very easy, absolutely not tiring. She had completely forgotten that she was employed at his company. Ever since she started her prenatal care, she hadn't been to the office at all. There was hardly any hardship she could speak of. Benjamin scoffed. You just said that working with me was tough. Have you changed your mind so quickly? Orissa awkwardly laughed. Wasn't I just joking with you? Mr. Graham, I haven't been to the company for such a long time. There's no trouble there, right? Everything is normal, isn't it? Her subordinates hadn't contacted her either, nor had they reported anything to her. It was as if she had already resigned. The company is running smoothly, and the defense system you designed has never been breached. Benjamin pinched her cheek, genuinely praising her. She was indeed an authority in this field. Orissa smiled confidently and suggested, even though it hasn't been breached, it still needs occasional adjustments. Considering my health has almost fully recovered, how about I accompany you to the company tomorrow? Benjamin furrowed his brows, expressing his disagreement. You should stay at home and rest easy. Everything at the company is running smoothly. There's no need for you to worry. Orissa glanced at the man, biting her lower lip. Staying at home all day can be quite boring. Wait until you're fully recovered, then we'll talk. Benjamin didn't give her a chance to negotiate. He turned off the light and went to bed. Sleep. He pulled over the quilt, tucking her in properly. Orissa was held in his arms, leaning against him. She wasn't sleepy yet, her mind uncontrollably filled with memories of her time at the York family's home. What are you thinking about? Benjamin gently brushed her hair, knowing she wasn't asleep. After a while, Orissa responded, when I was a child living in the York residence, Regan and Beatrice were quite fond of me. It was only after they encountered problems in their relationship that their attitude toward me changed. All that was left was my grandfather. He was truly good to me, but sadly, he had passed away. Even after he had left, he had given me everything from our home, leaving nothing behind for Miranda and the others. Even though I wasn't a child of the York family, why did Grandpa still treat me so well? Could it be fate that brought you together? Benjamin's eyes flickered slightly. He wasn't very familiar with Dominic, and he didn't have much information from his investigation. He wondered if he should re-investigate Dominic's identity. Perhaps Grandpa truly regarded me as his own granddaughter. When Orissa thought of her grandfather, her heart filled with longing. If only Grandpa were still here, how wonderful that would be. Benjamin smirked. She wasn't a pitiful little thing without affection in the York family. Tell me about him. Orissa chuckled and began to recount Dominic's past stories to him. She didn't know how long they had been talking, but eventually, she fell asleep mid-conversation. Benjamin watched her as she slept soundly. He gently kissed her forehead, then picked up his phone to send a voice message to Ethan. Look into old Mr. York's identity once more. Yes. Mr. Graham? Ethan responded promptly, without asking for any reasons. After Benjamin put down his phone, he focused his gaze on Orissa. She wasn't a child of the York family. So who exactly was her biological father? It was rather peculiar that Dominic, who adored her so much, was quite indifferent toward his own granddaughter, Miranda. Could it be that Dominic knew her biological parents? He was determined to thoroughly investigate the matter before she found out, ensuring that those people would not harm her again. He wanted to prevent them from using familial ties to coerce her one day. Chapter 1536. In the dead of night, Jack arrived at the western base. Kingsley, upon seeing him, was overcome with emotion and nearly burst into tears. He rushed forward and embraced Jack, saying, "Jack, you've finally arrived. I've been so lonely here all by myself." The nearby crowd fell silent, their mouths twitching in disbelief. Are we even human? Jack listened to Kingsley's endless chatter, finding it both amusing and exasperating. Enough, Mr. Watts. You should rest now. We can discuss matters tomorrow. Kingsley waved his hand, signaling the others to disperse. He then pulled Jack towards his own dormitory. You're staying with me tonight. It's been a while since we last met. Let's have a good chat. The two of them entered Kingsley's dormitory, and Kingsley quickly shut the door. He sat on his own bed and said to Jack, "You sleep on the outside, I'll sleep on the inside." Jack was at a loss for words, looking at the single bed. "I can sleep in another dormitory. This bed is too small. It's a bit cramped." "No way." Kingsley quickly grabbed Jack, fearing that he would walk away. "Since you've arrived, you must stay in this room. I can't believe Benjamin didn't tell you." Jack looked at Kingsley, who had a terrified expression, and cleared his throat. "Mr. Watts, Mr. Graham sent me here to investigate the situation. He suspects that what you saw was not a ghost but a person." Jack whispered the following sentence to Kingsley, making sure only he could hear it. Kingsley furrowed his brows tightly as he looked at Jack. "None of you believe me, do you? I saw it very clearly. It just disappeared all of a sudden. Whether it's a human or a ghost, we'll find out soon enough. Regardless, I won't leave this place until I've thoroughly investigated." Jack dropped his luggage and settled onto the only couch in the dormitory, a single-seater. "Did you see it in this room?" Jack asked, looking at Kingsley. Kingsley had already wrapped himself in a quilt, with only his head exposed. No, it was in another room. How could I dare to stay there? I had everything moved to this room. Kingsley pointed out the direction to Jack, shifting his body to lean against the wall. Now that you're here, you have to protect me. Pull up the surveillance footage. I'll review it later. I'm going to take a shower first. Jack told him, grabbing his clothes to go bathe. I've checked all the footage. There's absolutely no one, Kingsley said. He noticed that Jack had quickly slipped into the restroom. His eyes darted around nervously, as if afraid he might suddenly spot something. In one corner of the room, 7 wolf cubs were soundly sleeping inside a cage. The mother wolf was tethered outside. If there were any sudden incidents, the she-wolf would surely alarm him. However, when he had previously lived in that dormitory, the she-wolf had shown no signs of disturbance. The dark shadow had suddenly disappeared. All the doors and windows were closed, with security grills on the windows. He refused to believe that a person could simply vanish into thin air. Moreover, he was far more proficient in computers than Jack, so he didn't believe that Jack could discern anything significant from the footage. Jack quickly emerged. When he saw Kingsley sitting on the bed, his head constantly turning, vigilantly observing his surroundings, a twitch tugged at the corner of his mouth. Don't you think you're overreacting? Swallowing nervously, Kingsley gave a sheepish grin. Of course, you're not scared if you've never seen it. Have you done something wrong? Jack asked as he sat down on the couch and picked up the laptop. Seeing that Kingsley had already pulled up the footage, he began to review it. I haven't done anything wrong. This has nothing to do with guilt. It's just my bad luck. My fortune is low, all right? Kingsley defended himself. He didn't want to be that unlucky either. Matters of metaphysics. If you don't believe, so be it. There's no reasoning with you. Seeing his urgency, Jack chuckled. Are ghosts more terrifying than people? Rendered speechless, Kingsley could only agree. Indeed, when humans became terrifying, even ghosts would be afraid. Did you notice anything? Look. Jack pointed, focusing on the surveillance footage. What time did you see it? Around 2 in the middle of the night. Kingsley glanced at him. Hey, could you bring the laptop over and watch it on the bed? I haven't been able to sleep for days. Chapter 1537. Jack meticulously reviewed the surveillance footage. Hours later, while Kingsley was fast asleep, Jack stumbled upon a clue. He immediately roused Kingsley, gently shaking him. Wake up. Startled by the noise, Kingsley woke up with a furrowed brow. He rolled over and grumbled, What's happening? Mr. Watts, the surveillance has been tampered with. Jack stated gravely, motioning for Kingsley to come and see. Kingsley opened his eyes, looking at Jack. After a moment, he sat up abruptly and asked, It was altered. Look here. Jack enlarged the surveillance video, analyzing, could this be a mosquito? It clearly flew past, but in this section, it's nowhere to be seen. It's evident that this part has been cut out, but my attempts to restore it were unsuccessful. This person's skills are impressive. Kingsley's brows furrowed tightly, finally realizing something was amiss. He cursed, Damn it, who's messing with me? I'll get them. Give me the computer. He snatched the computer, his fingers clattering over the keyboard. As long as someone has tampered with it, I can track them down. I was too careless before. Jack raised an eyebrow slightly, expressing his skepticism. The data has been deleted. It can't be recovered. Kingsley continued to strive, but after half an hour, he had to accept the reality. It can't be restored. He turned to look at Jack, only to find that Jack had already fallen asleep. The corner of Kingsley's mouth twitched slightly as he muttered, Weren't you here to investigate? Yet, you slept even more soundly than I did. He closed his laptop, tossed it aside, and drifted off to sleep. Everything else could wait until he woke up. The next day, when Benjamin arrived at the company, Ethan briefed him on the investigation regarding Dominic. Mr. Graham, all the background information about old Mr. York is here. He only arrived in the village 50 years ago, and the following year, Regan was born. I could only find information about him within the village. Anything prior to his arrival in the village was untraceable. Thad, someone rushed to old Mr. York's hometown overnight, but the elders there had no idea where he originally came from. I also discovered something else. Mrs. Graham, whom old Mr. Graham brought back from his hometown, might not be Beatrice's biological child after all. Upon hearing that, Benjamin gently tapped his fingers on the table. Untraceable. Continue investigating his previous identity. You might find some clues from Regan or his mother. Also, closely monitor the DNA test results between Beatrice and Orissa. Mr. Graham, do you suspect that old Mr. York isn't as simple as he seems? Ethan looked at Benjamin, suddenly scrutinizing Orissa's grandfather once again. Mr. Graham, are you suspecting that Mrs. Graham was kidnapped by old Mr. York? Benjamin stared intently at Ethan, discerning his thoughts, and pursed his lips. Perhaps old Mr. York knew who her biological parents were. Ethan's eyes widened. If old Mr. York knew, why didn't he tell her? Benjamin glanced at him dismissively, not wanting to waste time explaining further. From what he had learned from his wife, Dominic was very fond of her. Even after his death, he left all of the York family's wealth to her. Regan was left with nothing, so it was no wonder that people wanted to harm her. If she were to die, the York family's wealth could once again return to their possession. For some reason, Dominic didn't tell Orissa that she wasn't his biological descendant. Was it because he feared she would be hurt, or was it because her biological parents had abandoned her? Mr. Graham, I must attend to my duties. Seeing that Benjamin remained silent, Ethan excused himself and hurried off. To his tasks. Benjamin leaned back in his large office chair, his fingers drumming rhythmically on the armrest, lost in thought. After a while, he made a phone call. Jack, what have you discovered? Just as Jack woke up, he received a call from Benjamin and promptly reported to him. Mr. Graham, we've found a clue. The surveillance footage has been tampered with. Unfortunately, the data was also destroyed and cannot be recovered. That person was highly skilled. They undoubtedly ranked among the top 5 in the world. However, apart from you, Mr. Graham, it was impossible for the other individuals to have come to the base. I checked their whereabouts, and they were all seen elsewhere. We are still investigating who it could have been. Chapter 1538. Upgrade the security system and keep me updated on any progress. Benjamin commanded. If he wasn't so busy, he would have personally gone to check what was happening. What is this mysterious person doing? What are they after? Yes, Mr. Graham, we will thoroughly investigate, Jack assured Benjamin, then promptly took action. After reviewing urgent documents and attending meetings, Benjamin finally returned to Yaleview. It was lunchtime when they arrived at the door, and they could already hear laughter and merriment coming from inside the house. Benjamin raised an eyebrow, changed his shoes at the entrance, and walked into the house, only to find that the children were all at home. Why are you all at home? Didn't you have class this afternoon? Daddy, you're back. Gavin turned his head and saw him, exclaiming in surprise. Upon hearing that, Benjamin smiled. Yes, I am, but you still haven't answered my question. We had the afternoon off, no classes, so we came back. Gavin climbed up and helped Benjamin with his laptop bag. Timothy, Zachary, Oliver, Jasper, and Jesse all gathered around one after another. Timothy reached out, addressing Benjamin, Mr. Graham, let me help you with your clothes. Benjamin glanced at the little guy and handed him his suit jacket. The boy smiled, clutching Benjamin's clothes. Where's your mom? Benjamin glanced around the house but saw no sign of Orissa. Mommy is in the bathroom, Jasper said, bursting into laughter. A glint flashed in Benjamin's eyes as he looked at Jasper. What are you laughing at? Are you going to the bathroom to find Mommy? Jasper's eyes were spinning round and round, filled with curiosity and gossip. The other few youngsters couldn't help but burst into laughter. Benjamin glanced at them, clearing his throat lightly. Is lunch ready? As done. We're all waiting for Mommy. Oliver nodded in agreement. Go wash your hands first. We'll eat as soon as Mommy comes out. Benjamin headed toward the kitchen. The 6 children exchanged glances, and then Gavin went to put away Benjamin's laptop bag, while Timothy took care of Benjamin's coat before they all gathered in the dining room. Dad, Madam Mary. Benjamin greeted his father and Mary. Benjamin is back. Hurry and wash your hands. It's time for dinner. Mary wiped her hands on her apron, cheerfully addressing Benjamin. Hurry up and wash your hands for dinner. Darius also urged. After taking a look, Benjamin saw that all the dishes were ready. I'll go call Isa, he said. He strode past the line of children, heading toward the bathroom. The children were chattering away, giggling amongst themselves. Every single word they said reached Benjamin's ears without fail. Jasper said, "See, he still went to the bathroom to find mommy." Zachary exclaimed, "Isn't it obvious? The first person he looks for when he gets home is always mommy." Oliver chuckled, "Hey, just a moment ago, he was pretending not to look for mommy." "Let's check the kitchen first," Jesse said. "Isn't he afraid of the smell? Every time he uses the bathroom, mommy always says it smells." Silently, Benjamin turned back to look at the four children huddled together. Gavin and Timothy had also come running over. "Hurry up and wash your hands for dinner. What are you all muttering about?" After Benjamin finished speaking, he walked away. The youngsters watched him as he disappeared into the distance, and then Jasper summed up the situation. He was so embarrassed that he became angry. Hee, let's hurry and wash our hands. It's time to eat." When Gavin finished speaking, the 6 children ran off to wash their hands. Benjamin arrived at the bathroom door and knocked. "Are you done yet? Dinner's ready." Upon hearing his voice, Orissa smiled. "Ah, you're back," she exclaimed with delight. "Yep." Benjamin tried to open the door, only to find it locked. "Why did you lock the door?" After washing her hands clean, Orissa went to open the door. She looked up, smiled at Benjamin, and said, "I locked the door because I was afraid someone might suddenly come in. The children all know you're in the bathroom. Who else is going to open the door?" Benjamin teased her. "You." Orissa glanced at him sideways and headed toward the dining room. "Wait for me," Benjamin called out to her. Chapter 1539. Watching the man hurriedly enter the restroom, Orissa chuckled to herself, deciding to wait for him to come out. "Mommy, dinner's ready," the kids shouted from the dining room. Orissa turned her head to look and saw Jess's head. "Mommy, come over, it's time to eat." Jessie waved at her, signaling for her to come over. Orissa waved back at the little girl and replied, "Okay. I'm waiting for your dad, I'll be right over." The little girl stuck out her tongue and then turned to her brothers, saying, "Mommy is still waiting for Mr. Graham." The kids giggled mischievously, teasing Benjamin, "Mr. Graham is so childish. He even needs mommy to wait for him when he goes to the bathroom." "Have you all washed your hands?" Darius asked as he came out, holding a pan of oyster omelet, chuckling at what the kids were saying. "Washed my hands, Grandpa," Jasper promptly responded, moving towards Darius and adding, "Grandpa, let me help you." As Darius set the dishes, he instructed the kids, "No need, be careful not to burn yourselves. I can do it myself. Have you all washed your hands? Take your seats, kids. Dinner will be ready soon." "What are great-grandaunt and Mr. Whitley still busy with?" Timothy walked to the kitchen door and took a glance. "Great-grandaunt, Mr. Whitley, it's time to eat." "I'm coming," Mary responded, turning her head to urge Edwin, "Are you ready yet? Are Mr. Graham and Mrs. Graham ready?" Edwin and Mary brought out the remaining dishes together, then returned to collect the tableware. "Mommy is still waiting for Mr. Graham." Jasper climbed onto his own seat and complained, "He's just like a child. He even requires someone to wait for him while he goes to the restroom." Upon hearing this, the 3 elders couldn't help but laugh heartily, their eyes filled with affection as they watched the kids. "Take your seats, everyone. We'll start eating as soon as they arrive." Darius chuckled as he watched his grandchildren. Today, the kids were on holiday, and he had added many of their favorite dishes to the lunch. "Have your stew first." Edwin served each of the kids a bowl of mushroom chicken stew. "Be careful, it's hot." "Thank you, Mr. Whitley." The 6 kids expressed their gratitude in unison, filling Edwin's heart with unparalleled joy, his face brimming with affection. "No need to thank me. Here you go, sir." Edwin placed a bowl in front of Darius. Darius nodded and continued waiting for them. This is Madame Mary's. Edwin also served a bowl of chicken stew to Mary. With a smile, Mary accepted it. Thank you for your hard work, Edwin. Edwin smiled, his eyes crinkling as he said, try it and see if it's to your liking. I don't need to taste it to know it's good. You can tell it's good just by the aroma alone. Darius gave Edwin a thumbs up as he continued, save some for those two, or there won't be any left later. Edwin chuckled, there's more, old Mr. Graham. As he responded, he simultaneously took a bowl and served a portion to both Benjamin and Orissa. It's so delicious. The kids smacked their lips, showering praises one after another. This stew was made from mushrooms that were freshly picked today, while the stir-fry was made from leftovers from yesterday. Edwin also prepared a bowl for himself, sat down, and joined them in drinking the stew. Why haven't they come over yet? They're so slow. Darius turned his head to glance in the direction of the restroom. Jasper burst into hearty laughter. Exactly. We've already eaten, so they can go hungry. Have we been raising you for nothing? We make sure that you are well fed, only to get starved ourselves. Orissa scolded Jasper, who seemed to have no idea how to take care of his mom. Why didn't you come over sooner? We've already finished eating, but we can have Mr. Graham make something for you, Jasper said with a laugh, glancing at Benjamin. Benjamin gently helped Orissa to sit on the chair before he himself sat down. You all can finish the food. I can make even more delicious food for your mommy. The kids glanced at him, and Gavin asked, Daddy, did you wash your hands in the restroom? Haha. Everyone couldn't help but chuckle. Even Orissa burst out laughing. Benjamin pursed his lips, casting a glance at Gavin as he said, just focus on drinking your chicken stew. Gavin stuck out his tongue, then lowered his head to drink his stew. Chapter 1540. Darius stopped laughing and called out, let's start dinner. He affectionately said to Orissa, Issa, would you like to try the stew? It's absolutely delicious. Orissa nodded with a smile, took a moment to compose herself, and then focused on drinking her stew. It's so tasty. Our homegrown mushrooms and the chicken raised by Dad are just so delicious. Darius chuckled and replied, you like it, huh? There's plenty more back at the old manor. Tonight, we'll have some basil chicken. Oliver adjusted his glasses and told Darius, I want to eat grilled chicken, Grandpa. All right, grilled chicken it is. Darius doted on his little grandson, immediately changing his mind. Grandpa, I want to eat honey-baked chicken, Jasper said with a beaming smile, putting the old man in a bit of a predicament. I'd rather have chicken popcorn. Zachary also joined in, placing his order. Darius watched them, nodding with a smile. Sure thing, we can make them all. Grandpa, are you planning to slaughter several chickens? Can we finish them all? Timothy looked at his grandfather, his eyes twinkling mischievously. Whether we can finish it all is up to you. Darius chuckled as he watched them, teasing them playfully. Orissa glared at the children as she warned them, already thinking about the next meal before you've finished this one, are you? And you even want something different. Are you trying to give your grandpa a hard time? Jasper playfully looked at her, his mouth still stuffed with chicken, eating with utmost satisfaction. Grandpa said it's all right. He didn't find it troublesome at all. What kind do you want to eat, Mommy? That's your grandfather spoiling you. If I were the one cooking, I wouldn't even make you kids chicken at night. Orissa replied with a chuckle. With just one chicken, we can make honey-baked chicken and chicken popcorn. As for the grilled chicken, we can have it as a snack or late-night meal. Darius announced cheerfully. He then turned to Edwin and said, Edwin, remember to prepare these tonight. Make sure to slaughter the chicken in advance. Understood, old Mr. Graham. Edwin responded with a cheerful grin. If Mr. Bailey and his friends come for dinner tonight, they will surely finish everything. Orissa smiled, lifting her gaze to Edwin as she said, Edwin, 2 chickens should be enough. If we slaughter any more, we really won't be able to finish them. How about we give the bodyguards an extra meal tonight? Edwin looked at Darius, who waved his hand and declared, add more dishes. Serve everyone a few more dishes. Edwin chuckled, then turned towards Benjamin as he asked, Mr. Graham, should we serve them extra dishes? It was up to Benjamin whether they could have an extra meal or not. If he didn't approve, none of them would feel at ease about eating. Benjamin glanced at Edwin, expressing no objections as he said, "Do as Mrs. Graham says." Edwin responded with a hearty laugh. "Will do, Mr. Graham. On behalf of everyone, I would like to express our gratitude to both you and Mrs. Graham, as well as old Mr. Graham. Edwin, if we're too busy tonight, let's ask them to help." Orissa said cheerfully, "All right, I will, Mrs. Graham." Edwin nodded, contemplating what dishes to add for everyone. "How about we have a barbecue tonight? That way, Mr. Whitley won't have to work so hard preparing dinner," Jasper suggested, his eyes sparkling with ideas. "Fatless barbecue, it's too greasy," Benjamin directly admonished him. He knew that having barbecue at night would surely tempt Orissa, which wasn't good for a pregnant woman. Jasper stuck out his tongue, glanced at Benjamin, and retorted softly, "Grilled chicken is greasy too." Oliver turned his head and glared at him. "You don't have to eat it. Why are you picking on me? If you're so capable, go pick on Mr. Graham," Jasper retorted, lifting his chin defiantly. Oliver grunted, not wanting to engage in conversation with him. Benjamin glanced at the two brothers, not uttering a word. He served Orissa some food, placing it in a bowl for her convenience. "Eat quietly, and stop making so much noise. Look at your older brothers, they're all eating in silence," Orissa said with a smile, coaxing the two kids who had been squabbling since they were young.